Yep. The website is designed around the content management system. What's a content management system? We call it CMS for short. The idea behind the CMS is that a long time ago, when we started making websites, the owner of the website would have to tell the developer to make the changes for it. Say if it was to change the telephone number, he'd have to ask for it and obviously get charged, and it takes a while and all that. So a content management system is a system through which a user that is not trained in HTML and the web languages can still manage to change and add stuff to the website. Obviously, you need a bit of knowledge of image manipulation because if you don't have that, you tend to grab an image out of your digital 10 megapixel digital camera and dump it on the website, and it will make the website very slow. So there is need. In fact, in web courses, we usually include Photoshop to teach them how to manipulate images, even if it's not full-blown design and graphic design, but at least you have an idea of how to manipulate an image. In our case, the CMS we are using in this case is Joomla. Joomla is a word in Swahili. It stands for encompasses everything. And there's online nowadays, there are two major CMSs, which are Joomla and WordPress. WordPress, and they're very similar. WordPress was actually designed as a blog, but then eventually evolved into a content management system. I personally prefer Joomla. A lot of people prefer WordPress for the simple reason that it's easier to learn. But as a developer, with Joomla, I have more power on what you can do. In fact, this is an example because the toolkits are an external part from the website, and they look as if they are part of the website. But that's, I mean, it can even be done in WordPress, but Joomla is a more sort of thorough way of doing it. But again, there's two schools of thought about that. In fact, I would say across the web, there's more WordPress sites, but not by a large percentage, maybe 60% WordPress and 40% Joomla. And Joomla is catching on very quickly as well. In our case, it's multilingual as well, and that made a difference because Joomla is multilingual out of the box, which means it can handle languages, but the languages don't come with it. In fact, we had a problem with Maltese because in the latest version, version 3 of Joomla, Maltese still doesn't exist. It's a project that's being worked on, but so far it doesn't exist. The other languages, basically you download them and install them. And what they give you, because a lot of people would imagine that it translates everything for you, it doesn't. All it translates are the sort of website furniture, words like search, for example, because search is the same in every language, but it's a different word. So that is included in the language pack. But obviously, all the text about the project and all that, that has to be translated by a human separately. And obviously, it's not a good idea to use Google Translate like I did as the examples I use Google Translate. I mean, I don't know the languages personally, but I'm sure that they're not very accurate. But to test, I had to use something or other. So that's what a CMS is. Now, what we do in a CMS, like if I go to the site, what we do is we design a template. And we try and control as much as possible that what the user does remains inside the template. So that basically it's not easy to screw it up. That's the idea. I mean, users will always find a way to mess it up, but as much as possible, it's under control. And from experience, I've done hundreds of sites. From experience, I can tell you that a lot of people don't really update everything in the site. They basically update just the articles, the content, and not everything is integrated in. And in fact, sometimes that's what I suggest. I tell them, look, if you want to update a module, tell me, because you're going to do it so rarely that by the time you come to do it next year, you have forgotten, and you have to, stay studying all over again how it's done. It's really not complicated. You'll get used to it quite quickly. Now I'll start explaining how the site is made. But before that, so in our case, the toolkit section is an add-on. Okay, basically what I'm doing here is I'm displaying this bit here, all this, including when you actually view a toolkit, that is a separate application. In fact, you've got two backends. You've got a backend for the website itself and the backend for the toolkit. And you have to access each other, you have to access them separately. So, like I said, I'm going to first explain what is most important to you guys, what you're most likely going to use. So, let's go into the backend.
So, who doesn't develop software? Or
no, there's no need. I don't suggest you do it now. I mean, you're going to have the video because, I mean, first of all, we'll slow down the internet connection. And secondly, it's pretty easy. Now you see. But I'd rather that you listen first and then, you can try later. So, breaking barriers. So that's the URL. Now what we'll do, we have to create a user for everyone. Because so far, there's only 2 users. There's one for you guys and there's me. But ideally now we would create separate users because as well we can do them. I don't know if you realized just now in the login there was language. So even the backend can have a language. So ideally I would create a user and choose the language per person. So when you can log in separately. Now this is the website backend. In fact, here this is sort of the control panel and you can see how many hits we've had so far. Those obviously are all us. So trying and testing. We need to do much more. And you've got a menu here at the top. A menu here at the top with a lot of things you can do. Now, first of all, the most important thing is content. Content here. Now under content, you've got articles and categories. Now, articles are in the website itself. Like for example in contributors. This would be the article. Okay, the actual content. Not, now I'll explain later, not for example the slider here, this animation, that's on the module. It's a module position. In fact, now I've done you a little tool which will help you recognize where they are. I'll show it to you later. Even the menu here, that's another module. The logo is another module. So when we design a site, first we build where the modules are going to be so that the design looks like how we want it to look. Then the actual content, in this case, for example, in this page, in the home page, the actual content is impact. So there's going to be an article called impact. Now, we go to the backend and go to articles. You can see these are all different articles. They look a bit funny here because we have the language and the monitor is really tiny. But basically, these are the same article in different languages, and you can even, which is what I do all the time, you can do this, and instead of this is impact, for example, let's edit it in English. Now this is the interface where you edit the text. It's the same in all languages, so there's a version. The languages is how they work. For every piece of content, there's a different sort of article in all the different languages. If you don't change it, it will remain in English. If you change it, then it becomes in whatever language you change it. But basically, we have to go through everything. The titles, the actual article, the modules, there's quite a lot to do in the translations. And in certain languages, I mean, I could tell you, send me the Italian and I'll do it for you because I can, but in Macedonian and Greek, I don't even recognize the letters of the alphabet, so it's a bit of a problem. So ideally, a native speaker would do it. Now, each article has, first of all, look here. See the cross? That's because this article does not have the languages. It's not yet translated. By the way, this is the language system, because before I was explaining that Joomla has it out of the box, but I installed something else. It's called Falang. It's very good because it does things like this. It tells you what you don't have translated and sort of helps you to do the whole thing. I mean, this site, articles-wise, is not very big, but in a huge site, this will become quite a problem. Let me put it silent. So basically this interface here is very similar to what you see in Microsoft Word and the usual interface. But bear in mind that in Joomla and all these content management systems like WordPress, you're actually writing code. So what's happening is if you have to click code here, this is what it actually looks like. This is how the system sees it. See, there's a paragraph style, text align, justify. This is very simple, but sometimes there's a lot of code. The idea also is that you're writing You don't understand the code, so you write in normal text and the system creates the code for you. That's what's happening here. Now, you have to be careful. One very important thing that you have to know is that when you copy and paste from Word, you don't just copy and paste. You don't come here and Control V, paste. You paste through this little icon here, paste as plain text. When you click it, you get a blank box and you paste your Word document here. The reason is that Word has, like web, has a lot of hidden codes. And when you paste them, it looks okay. But on certain browsers, you might actually get the code, and the people see the code. Once I had a client, 3,000 articles, and she did that, and obviously I wasn't going to tell her to go through each one of them, so I had to write a piece of code, go through the database automatically and remove all the rubbish, because it creates something like this would have 3 times this amount of rubbish code to set the fonts, that sort of thing, because obviously Word has a lot of features that it tries to include. The rest is like, for example, the justification, bold, italic, underline, the font size, font family. There's also a panic button, which is very important because since when you're writing, when you're typing or pasting, you might mess up in the sense that you might try and do bold, and then you make a link, and then you make a mistake, and all of a sudden you end up in a situation where nothing works. We try and delete something, and it won't delete. If that happens, just select the text and click this rubber here. That removes all the formatting and takes you back to the original text. So if you mess up, you can always do that. It happens, so it's important. It's important to know. Another very important thing to know is the question of pressing enter. In web, even in WordPress, they're all the same. You have 2 enters. You have enter and you have shift enter. In fact, in Microsoft Word, the latest one, we have them in the older versions. For example, if I have to type something and press enter, see, I have a fresh line and a line in between. If I do the same thing, but instead press shift enter, the fresh line doesn't come. Now, obviously, if you don't know that, you'll spend hours trying to delete and put them happen. So those are the main major differences. Now, this also supports things like adding images. For example, to add an image, all you would have to do is click on the image. You can upload an image or select one from the ones I uploaded. I tried to keep them a bit organized here as well, like contributors on their own, image numbers, etc. Those numbers at the front, things like that. Or else you can upload your own, basically browse and drop the file, and once you upload it, for example, let's choose this one. When you click on it, when you upload it, it comes there in the list, or you can first click a folder and then upload to that folder, and you can simply now use that image. Now, very important, you can actually, I'm not seeing part of the screen though. See, now you can actually do this. Okay, now here you have to be careful. If you want to do that, because like an image like this one, this is a small image, and you want to reduce it, that's okay, because maybe you reduce it by 10%. But never upload a huge image and reduce it here, because it will look good. But that would mean that the image is going to take long to load, and it will slow everything down. So it doesn't matter if you reduce it a bit, never enlarge it. If you enlarge it, becomes hazy. But if you want to reduce a bit, you can. And when you put the image first comes in line with the text. Now that's a bit not very good. So what you can do is, again, let me zoom. Again, we can either click here or right click inside the image and change all these things. And one of the things we usually need to change is the alignment. So if I align left, I can't see the button. Okay, I can. If I align left, now the text will come next to the image. Okay, that's left alignment. If I do the same thing but align right, comes on the other side. Okay, that's left and right alignment. These here are some styles. In fact, I can add more if you need them. These are some styles which I created, which you can, for example, if I want to make this into headings blue bold, it's a style which I saved. The idea is that not everybody creates his own, it's one style so that the website looks homogeneous and like we retained one design and not all different sizes and colors. So that's basically the idea. But these I can create as many as you like. Then you've got the colors, background and foreground. Another important thing is lists. You have bulleted lists or ordered list or unordered list. This is an unordered list, basically. Now the idea here is if you're going to paste from Word, the list will not come. It won't come as a list. It will come as a graphic in the list. It still looks like a list, but it's not a list. So ideally, you arrange the list here. You use the CMS to create the list and not use the Word version, so that it will really be a list. It might still look okay, but you're supposed to do that. You've got as well underscore and so what are they called? Like CO2 and squared. What they're called anyway. And if another very important thing is the links. For example, this is something you'll probably use. If I want to link this word to Google, I select it and I click on the link. Now, here there's a lot you can do. You can either just type in the URL. In the case of Google, it's google.com. And here at the bottom, you've got the target. Now, why is this important? Because if it was a real link, if we were actually linking to Google, you would not want people to leave your site and go to Google. Because if you don't do anything here, if you leave it as it is by default, what will happen when they click the link is that your breaking barrier site will disappear and Google will come instead of it. So usually you want people to open a new window with the link, and that's how you do it, like this. So if I do open a new window, okay, like that, when the user clicks it, a new tab will open here with Google, and your site is still open in the original tab. So that's one thing. Besides that, if it's a link inside your website, obviously this doesn't apply because you want them to remain in your website. But there's a lot of things you can do. For example, you can link to a menu. This is our main menu from the site, contact about project, etc. And you simply do this, and the link is created automatically for you here at the top. You can also link to direct content, the actual article. Now, in reality, the best would be to link it from the menu. Why? There's a very good reason. Because if we change the article and you link to the menu, the link will always remain good. Whereas if you link to the content and somebody deletes it, you can end up with a blind link. So it's always a good idea, if possible, to link to a menu. In fact, if you look at what I did here, look, I created a hidden menu. That's why I created a hidden menu, so that I can still use a menu link for something which I didn't want people to see. So I created a menu which doesn't show, basically. But at this stage, what's important is that you realize how to make a link, basically. You can even create a link for mailing, mail to CC, BCC subject, and that when the user clicks it, his email client will pop up and he can fill in the details and send an email. That's it, basically. And then these are styles. It even supports pop-ups as well, but those are not important anyway. It's important that you know a link. Now, if you want to remove a link, for example, let's actually create this one. Now that's created. You'll see it selling because it's underlined and highlighted. If I want to remove the link, I can select it, and the chain now, besides the chain, I have an open chain. If I click the open chain, it disappears. Okay? Now, what else here? You've got an undo as well, which can be handy if you mess up. Issa, more menu entries. An article, so we saw how to insert an image, but Joomla 3 also has a feature where you can include an intro image and a full article image. What's the idea here? In this site, we didn't really use it, but in a lot of sites, you have what's called the blog layout. With, for example, in a news section, you would have articles which the site admin is adding on a daily basis. So we're going to end up with a list which will have an excerpt of the article with a read more. That's a blog layout. Now, in that case, you would use the intro image so that in the layout it will show as part of the introduction, sort of, and the full article image will show in the article. In our case, we haven't used this because we don't have that many articles, but at least you know about it. There's also things like if you want to show the title, there's a lot of settings which you can use. These are all relevant, but again, we didn't really. There's also a voting system which we didn't use. People can vote on an article. Publishing, this is something else. This is, you can create an article and publish it on a certain day. This is, people usually use it, Happy Christmas, Happy Easter. You can prepare it before with a nice graphic, leave it there. Then when you go get drunk, it comes up on its own, and after Christmas it removes itself on its own as well. So it's pretty handy. There's also created date and created by. Here you can override them. These are done automatically, but if you want to sort of change the name or make it created on a different day, you can. How many times it was modified, how many hits it received, and the article ID. These are all automatic, obviously. Make it? Yes. So these are not important. So that's basically how you edit an article. Now, besides the articles, we have as well categories. Now, these need to be translated as well because they're all in English so far. There's uncategorized, general site pages, toolkit text, and about the project. This is how I split them myself, basically. And you split them in a site like this, they're not that important in the sense that we don't have that many. If you look at them all, it's not going to kill you. But in a site where you've got 500 articles, if you don't categorize them, you won't be able to find them. So that's why categories exist. Besides, categories can also be used to use a blog layout, like I said before, and you list the whole category. So you have a category called news, a link, blog layout, and the whole news section comes out. And here as well, like for the articles, you can unpublish. So basically, you never really delete anything. You just unpublish, and you can leave it there. There's also in articles. There's also, I think I left it off actually for now, but I know I switched it on. There's also the latest version of Joomla. There's what is called versioning. You can go back to yesterday's version of the document. I think it's off at the moment, or the day before, so that if something happens, you can always go back. Now, here, this reminds me of something important. Sometimes you're going to see, let me try and find one. See this little padlock here? These are modules, but just to show you. This little padlock, this is what's going on here is this, that in web development, you have a situation. To give you an example of how it works. For example, you're buying something from Amazon. Okay? I'm in Malta and I'm going to buy a book. So I go to Amazon and Amazon says one stock, one left. You, in your country, are doing exactly the same thing, exactly at the same time. And it also tells you that there is one left. I go to the toilet and I don't buy it, and you buy it. My screen will still tell me that there is one left. When I go to buy it, it tells me sold out. That's the web. Because when you use the web, you're not really connected to the server. You connect and you disconnect. You connect and you disconnect. So the data that you're seeing is not live. It's what it sent you last. For example, this page here, when I click the last click, it sent me that and it will remain like that. I mean, unless I switch off the laptop, it will say like that. So it's not really somebody else in the meantime could have logged in from elsewhere, changed something, and I'm not seeing that version. That is why that padlock is there. That padlock means that somebody has locked that article. It happens automatically, don't have to do anything. But if you open an article, uh, and I'm going to access the same one, it will tell me this one is locked by Christian, so we cannot edit it, for example. That's the idea. And obviously, why is there this safeguard? Because if there wasn't, we would have a situation where we can overwrite each other's work. We're both working on an article, I save, you save after me, and you overwrite what I saved. So this locks it. Now, it could also be a nuisance. In fact, it is. Because what happens is, I do it all the time, that instead of logging out, we just close the window. And when you do that, they will remain locked. And it's annoying because if you're trying to edit the website and it tells you locked by Marcel, it's a problem, So there's a way around it. Basically, it's this one. It's called System Global Check-in. And what Global Check-in does, it tells you, look, there are these things, these are the things open, and all you do is do this and check it. Now, everything is going to be unlocked, but now you're risking overwriting somebody else's work. So ideally, I suggest that in your cases, what you would do is have one person from each country editing, not three persons, so that you don't have to stay agreeing beforehand, who's going to do what. Just give everything to one guy, and that guy updates. And like that, you have no worries. Or else, if you want to be more than one, you have to call them or Facebook chat or something to ask them if they're actually editing the article, because it could be that you overwrite each other. But that's what Global Check-in, that's what it's for. Now, yep. Now, so in content, again, because this is what's important to you, when you make the translation. So if you're translating to Greek, for example, you click on the Greek, eventually you get this pop-up, and here you have, look, the field name, the title, here you put in the Greek translation. The alias, now what's an alias, by the way, this I didn't mention. What's an alias? An alias is, in IT we call it alias, but in real life we call it a nickname. It's basically a nickname. In Joomla, they're a bit important in the sense that these will be in the URL. So the link here, when you click, they will be named with whatever you put here. So ideally it would be something that doesn't look bad. It doesn't have to be special, but at least it's something that's like sort of neat. What it does is, but when you create an article, it creates them automatically for you, so you don't really have to worry about it. What it does is remove all the capital letters and replace the spaces with dashes. That's what it does, which is fine. But sometimes, if the title is this long, it's going to look funny in a URL, so you might as well shorten it. If you use one that's already been used, it will tell you, so you have to keep track. So basically, here you translate the title, here you translate the alias, and here you put the text, the actual text of the article in Greek. That's it. And then you have to publish. You have to click here and publish. Because by default, they will not be published. You have to publish. Falang, which is the language manager, also has has a system to sort of monitor the translation. And it's telling you, look, these are the articles. They're all red, which means they're not published. So these you still have to do. So basically, because we chose Greek, I can now just click about the project, modify that, and publish. And when I get back here, I can see that it's published. It's easy to remind you what you haven't done yet, so that you have to stay keeping track of what's going on, basically. So that's how you do the translations. It's another thing. So I showed you how to upload an image, okay, through the articles. There's also another way. There's what is called this one here, content media. This is all the images in the website, all together. Okay, so basically, why would you use this? If you know that you're going to use 10 images, instead of going one by one, upload, and it takes a lot of time, you can just come here and upload them all together. Create a new folder, upload, and this allows you to choose more than one with control, like this. Okay? You can just upload. and they go to the server in whatever folder you put them. So basically, it's just a way how to look at everything together, sort of like your My Documents in your Windows system. Same thing. Yes. What else? We'll be checking components. Ah, yes. Another thing here, I just showed you one of them, which is Falang. These are components. So far we've discussed categories, articles, and now components. Components are actual applications. They're actual programs. They do things. They're not just text or graphics or stuff like that. They actually do something. Now, you don't really need to go into them, but just so that when you're using it, you have a good idea what at least what they are. They all do different things. Like for example, Admin Tools is a website protection system. Through it, I've set it up all myself, but through it, you can protect the website by not allowing certain things to happen, by recording. For example, if somebody tries to log into administrator and with a bad password, and he does it 3 times, he gets locked out forever. His IP address is locked out. Things like that. Protection, it's a protection system. And I get an email telling me this guy, and trust me, this is unbelievable. The second you put the website online, people try to hack it all the time. I get like 50 of these emails from all the websites every day of people trying to go into the admin. I mean, not that they're really going to gain anything by going into the admin of this sort of site, but they actually still try. Some people have nothing to do. Another important thing here, which you might use, is this one, Unite Revolution slider. Now this is, basically, it is this slider here. This is what I'm talking about, this slider. Now, here you're going to see it. It's called main slider. And if you go edit slides, you can see the 3 slides that we have. And if you edit the slide itself, you can see, now this is extremely vast. You can see the text here and how it works. See, literacy, for example, in this slide, we've got 3 lines, which are these 3 layers here, 1, 2, 3. They start at 500 milliseconds and then at 9 seconds. This is what I made myself, obviously. But basically, you can modify it. You can modify the text, you can add more layers, you can do what you like. Now this is going to have to be done as well multilingual. We can leave it in English if you like, but there's a whole lot of settings. For example, just look at this. We use fade, so the slides between one and the other are fading in. Look how many transitions there are. It's incredible. Parallax, zooming, curtain, cubes, fancy animation stuff. For a site like this, it doesn't make sense because it would look tacky, but just so that you know. These are the other slides. That's the slide 2. It's there, and you can add as many as you like. In fact, in some websites, I even create more than 1 slider as well sometimes. It depends on the kind of site we're talking about. This is go to check and explain. Menus. A menu, there's a section here called menus. If I go main menu, which is what we're interested in, these are, again, we have to translate. There's home, toolkits, contributors, about the project, contact. This is all the main menu. Now, if I click on, for example, contributors, to see what it is, the link. So the others would be in the language, obviously. Menu type is a single article, and the article is contributor. So if I want to add a menu item, instead of edit like I did now, main menu, add menu item, and look. Menu item type, there's a huge amount of different types, single articles, contacts, news feeds. We did use all of them, but just to show you. For example, a single article, look where it is, the category below. That's this one, for example, if I have to use this, look, displays article introductions in a single or multi-column layout. So I can create a category with 50 articles, use that, and it will list them like like a newspaper, like a blog.
It's easy to change the role, but for example, the first page would be the form.
Where the
Then,
order, the order. No, I'll show you. From here,
like what?
drag and drop. But basically, if it doesn't work for you, you have to click here first. Because you have to sort by this column and then just move up and down. So that's values, just to have an idea. Then, now modules. Now modules, like I said before, are what are modules? Modules are this one, the menu, the positions inside the site. Now to make your life easy, I've designed. Now I'll send you these by email as well. Slash templates slash breaking barriers templates slash layout. Now I've designed this one. This is the structure of the site. These are what are called module position. In fact, if you look, if I actually on the site have to go. See, module top icons, that's these guys. Top line left, that's here. The size doesn't matter, obviously it depends what you put in it. Top line right, this one. Top line right 2, it's just the languages. Anim, the animation, that one, this one. See, so now when I show you, then start making sense. If I go to the site and extensions, modules, these are all the modules that we have. Now look, each module has a name, a title, a status, whether it's published or not published, as usual, and the position. Now this position, for example, BT bottom slider, bottom BT slider. Look at it. This is the one. So that whatever is in that is going to appear at the bottom. For example, the icons. These are, let's go into one. These are, look, the icons, writing, reading, the ones in the front. Okay. Now, position icon 1. Icon 1. See? That's where it is. There's icon 2, icon 3, icon 4. Again, like I said, you can do without them, please. Because if you like, I can change them for you. You rarely need to change them. Because they are sort of the structure of the website. But I'm explaining so that you have an idea of what they are when you look at them. And again, look, each module then has what is called an assignment. Where does it appear? For example, the icons appear only in the home page. This is the only one that's ticked. In fact, here I installed this module manager. It's really cool. You can do lots of different stuff with it. And each module has, let me show you another one. For example, footer right. Footer right is this one. Okay? Footer right assignment is basically all matching method all, because I want that to appear on every page. Okay? For example, about the project content slider. In about the project, okay, we have the video and we have a content slider, this one. This one is this slider here. Look, this is another, this module is a special module. It's a content slider. It makes that effect that you're seeing here. Creates the blobs here, creates the arrows, you know. Obviously I changed it a bit to style it, but basically it does it on its own. And to do that, the source, because I needed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 articles, so I created 5 articles. Created a category which is called about the project. made them belong to that category, and then they appear there. So here I selected categories, and there's a lot of different things you can select, and then chose the category, and it does them on its own. But again, this is not critical for you. So basically from there, that's it. Now, modules, okay, plugins. Again, plugins are definitely not something you need to go into, but just so that you know what they are. Plugins are sort of add-ons to the website. For example, that when we edited the article, that fancy header with the Word documents and stuff like the bold italics, that's this one, content JCE. It's a JCE editor. So these are sort of add-ons, but usually these are done by a developer. You don't have to go into them. But just so you know what they're there for. For example, look, searching in Falang, JCE file browser. These are all add-ons. That's the beauty of the CMS, that you can add all these different things. Templates, the same. Templates, again, you're obviously not going to change the template because there's only one, which I made. Breaking Barriers template is it's on purpose. It's created purposely for this project. But potentially, you could have more than one and make the website look different under certain. To be honest, I've never done a website with more than one, but it's possible, I suppose. Some people buy them. You can buy a template as well when you want to make a website. You can either create it from scratch like I do, or you can actually buy it ready. You know how it looks, and you buy it. Obviously, buying it ready is the easiest, but then it's more difficult to modify because you don't really know what's going on, especially if it's a fancy layout. So before we go to toolkits, from you guys, we're going to need the translations, and that means the translations of everything. I mean, go to the website, click on every link that shows needs to be translated, everything. Now, I can do them for you. I can put them in for you if you like, but you have to give me clear indication of what they are. Four languages. Already, great. Yes. Otherwise, they will send to me, and I have. Okay, great. But just the articles, or even the everything else? So everything else. The toolkits are not translated. Not the toolkits, I'm saying the website. The website. Okay.
You didn't show us the toolkits.
Yeah, coming.
Okay, because that's
yeah, that's just the website so far.
Yeah, Google is interesting part of that.
Yeah. Now, as well, just so that you know, there's still quite some work to be done on the site. Things like, for example, increasing the speed. There are tricks which I can use to increase the speed. There's also the fact that it's not 100% mobile friendly. It will be, but I would rather first, if we're going to change anything else, let's first do the changes. Because if I do the work on the mobile version, then I have to do everything all over again every time we change something. You know? So I'd rather we're ready and we say, okay, like this.
For the transition for those who are here, some paragraphs were added on the website. So I will send you just this paragraph in order for it to be translated. I have the Greek, I have Polish, Serbian, and Dutch.
Yeah.
I mean, if you like I said, I can do them for you myself. If you give them to me, you know, I can easily tell what is what. For me, I do them quite quickly, but up to you. It's a practice for you to do them yourself as well. So that's about the site. Now the toolkits. كيف قاعدين هي مايرة؟ يفقوا نقرا. Yeah, okay. Okay, and then we'll come back to the toolkits. All right.
Have some coffee or tea and then go get time now.
Yeah, and also where we can do it. So, because it does not get all the way. So it's free. So there should be. Oh,